Whoa, already. Okay, we're just jumping right into it. Just throw the dick right into the pussy.
No foreplay.
No, fuck that. You don't deserve foreplay. So since we're jumping right into it, we'll just jump right into the rant. Holla at your boy. This is Jimbo Stevens, and we're back. We're back because we got some shit to talk about. We got some shit to rant about because our teams are fucking up. Like legit, our teams are fucking up, dude. He's like, I mean, I don't know if you can tell, he's a Raider fan, and I am unceremoniously going to admit that I'm a Bills fan, and this is the first time ever. Now a lot of people will be like, well, I wouldn't have admitted that shit a long time ago, but I've had faith in them all the way up until they started fucking up in 2011, drafting the wrong fucking people, and it shows this year. But I'm gonna let you talk about where John Gruden's fucking up.
So the hot topic with everyone in Raider Nation is the Khalil Mack trade.
Yeah.
And that's on everything. If you follow the Raiders like on Instagram or anything like that, they'll show a picture today. It could be a one-handed catch, in practice from Amari Cooper. You go to the comments, it's all about the Khalil Mack trade. Everyone's just like, why'd you guys trade Mack? Why'd you trade Mack? And some people are saying it's bitching and they're getting tired of it, or they're calling out other Raider fans for Raider fans trying to call out the organization for screwing up. And some people have the attitude like, oh, well, Mac's not here, so fuck him. He didn't want to be here, so fuck him. Move on, Raider Nation for life, bitch, yeah. And it's like, and they think that...
Even Gruden said that.
Yeah, they think that other Raider fans are being bitches or being little crybabies for being upset about the Khalil Mack trade. Or, oh, it's time to move on. He didn't want to be here. That's what Gruden said.
Yeah.
That's not fucking true. He wanted to be paid. There's a difference between not wanting to be there and wanting to get paid. We've seen players when they have been in a place where they didn't want to be. And how...
Look at Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, how those things have blown up. Now, even with Le'Veon, he wants to get paid.
Yeah.
You pay him, he'll be there. Like, Le'Veon Bell's a different type of running back because not only is he running the ball, he's getting a shitload of catches too. So the way he sees it is like, look, dude, I'm doing more work than other top running backs in the league, so I should be paid accordingly.
Yep.
And it's true. And it's about time that a running back puts their foot down with it and starts getting paid. That's like one of the more dangerous positions there is. And those guys aren't getting paid, comparable to other positions.
One of the most unforgiving positions, as well as one of the positions that owners just look at and they'll be like, nah, we'll move on and just leave this fucking guy in the dirt.
Yeah, it's like Le'Veon Bell can have, 1,800 total yards, 80 catches, 12 touchdowns, but he'll get paid way less than a receiver that does the same exact numbers except without rushing.
Like Julio. I mean, do you think Julio's getting overpaid as opposed to Le'Veon Bell? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think dude, even quarterbacks, right? Yeah, we need a quarterback to be a leader and blah, blah, blah. But you look at guys like Case Keenum, or you look at guys like, who was the guy that went to the Texans from the Broncos right after the Super Bowl? See, I totally forgot because we don't give a fuck about that dude. Because he doesn't matter, dude. Even
I'm gonna remember
like later on, like 3
Brock
days
Osweiler.
later. Yeah, Brock Osweiler. So you got a guy like Brock Osweiler. He gets paid and he doesn't do shit. Like, we all knew he wasn't gonna be shit. We all knew he wasn't gonna do shit. And like, that's why I congratulate the Eagles for not caving to Nick Foles, because it's showing in week 1, even throughout the preseason, he didn't deserve that money. I don't give a fuck what Super Bowl you win. I don't give a fuck how hard you think you work. Nah, man. Nah, bro. that shit ain't gonna fly. Especially when it comes to running backs. Because you look at guys like Adrian Peterson, that dude's beat up. That dude's like, literally, this is his last year. He's not gonna play no more. That's it. Yeah. But you look at other running backs, they'll play for like 3 or 4 years. That's the lifespan. If you make it 10 years, that's like a quarterback making it 20 years. If you make it 3 or 4 years, dude, you're lucky to even have played at that position. Because dude, like, Javid Best was gone, dude. That was it.
Yeah.
Dude, Rashad Penny's going to be on his way out right now, dude. You look at Lendell White. He played 3 years, and he's gone, dude. And the point is that everybody wants to look at performance and things like that. However, it's one of the harder positions to perform at next to quarterback and receiver. On top of that, you're being thrown in the fire. You got quarterbacks being saved and having rules changed around the game to make sure that the lives of quarterbacks are safer, as well as receivers. We've seen those rule changes.
Yeah.
We haven't seen rule changes like that for running backs. None. Running backs are just big ass bodies who just bulldoze over everything, or supposedly. That's what their job is. That's what everybody wants their job to be. But you got a guy who is talented, needs to get paid. You paid a man, and in Khalil Mack's situation, the Raiders didn't want him to be there. Remember that the Raiders didn't want him to be there.
That's exactly what it is. It's all business, and if Mark Davis has shown anything to Raider fans over the last few years, is that it's all about the money. The money is don't give a fuck about
he gives a
moving
fuck about
moving out of Oakland or whatever. It's not even just that. Taking the Vegas deal, that was a great deal. Like, they're basically buying a stadium for the Raiders. But even outside of that, why is it that the Raiders are sacrificing a home game every single year to go play in London and Mexico and all that? They've been doing it every year because Mark Davis is willing to sell out to get that extra money.
Let me tell you something.
It's all about the money. So,
Oakland Raider fans, let me tell you this right now. Oakland Raider fans, Mark Davis and the Raiders don't give a fuck about you. I've said this a million times about NFL players and the organizations and the owners. They don't give a fuck about the fans. I don't understand how often I have to say this because it feels like I'm beating a dead horse. But that's the bottom line. They don't give a fuck about the fans. They give a fuck about money. Now, the ones who give a fuck about fans are the ones who are winning Super Bowls. Look at the Eagles. They love their fans. They do everything they can to produce talent. Look at that defense. That defense is legit.
You need to have a home field advantage.
Look at the Seahawks.
Another small slight.
Look at the Patriots.
That won't get any attention is at the Raider home games. I've noticed maybe there are some areas that sell it, but I haven't seen it in a while. Is like when you buy a beer or something like that, or a soda. Like, I haven't even seen any of the plastic cups that they used to serve them in. They used to serve them in plastic, the little souvenir cups, and those are replaced by like plastic and like paper ones and stuff like. And it's like, whoa! It's like, what happened to the souvenir cups that they used to have? And it's like, well, it's cheaper. It's a cost cutting move that.
Dude, your team isn't even worth the red Solo cup.
Yeah, it's like it's little things like that. It's like every step of the way, the ownership has shown that it's all about the money, and that's it. So when Khalil Mack wants to rework his deal, and rightfully so, he's under the last year of a rookie deal,
and he's talented.
He's arguably the best defensive player in the league.
Especially
some may say J.J. Watt, some may say Von Miller. That's fine. No one's going to argue that you can't talk about those three
in the conversation.
Yeah. So either way you slice it up, he's top three. He's in the last year of his rookie deal. He deserves the money that he's asking for. It's not like you have a player that isn't that great that is asking for a shitload of money and holding out. You're like, okay, fine. You can hold out then. Or it's not like that player that just signed an extension last year and now they want to rework their deal again. And you're like, no, dude, we just did that. Like, no, he's on his rookie deal. It's time for him to get to rework a contract and get paid. So the problem wasn't that he didn't want to be in Oakland. He never said that. Nope, get me out of Oakland. I want out of here. It's not like Kawhi Leonard didn't want to be in San Antonio.
There's a difference. He made that clear. Everybody knows that shit.
There's the difference right there. Clear. If Khalil Mack wanted out of Oakland, he would have said so. He would have said something.
Yeah.
He was just holding out like a lot of other players do. It's not uncommon for them to hold out, especially when on the last year of their deal. Nobody wants to go to training camp and get hurt and then now you have no room to negotiate.
Exactly.
You know, you're kind of fucked.
SOL, dude. That's it. You're done. And
So
I'll tell you guys an analogy that hopefully you guys can understand, because I know this is something that everybody fucking cries and complains about all the time. You go into work and you ask your boss for a raise, and he doesn't tell you no. He just doesn't give you an answer. Do you think you want to work there?
Yeah.
Do you think you want to work for somebody like that? Let me tell you something. All y'all out there always talking about how you guys are underpaid, and I'm not talking about athletes. I'm talking about regular people. I'm talking about civilians. Talking about they don't get paid enough and this and that. And they work, they bust their ass and work hard and all this other stuff. Don't you think you need to get paid? Don't you think you need to ask your boss that if you're this superstar worker for the company that you need to get paid? Guess what? They're doing the same thing. They're doing the same shit. Only it's lots more money because they're really talented. And if you were talented, you'd be playing in the NFL too. But you ain't. So you shoveling shit right now in a warehouse somewhere because you don't have no talent.
Now there are some fans, actually a lot of fans, are, oh, well, our defense wasn't good with them anyways, so we could just let them walk. Like, no. Where is that a successful business model anywhere? In any business.
In any
He was the best player on our team. And not like, oh, he's the best player on the Browns or something like that. He would be the best player on most of the teams in the league. Easily the best defensive player on almost any team probably. Or you can say every team. But because the defense wasn't that great while he was there does not mean... That does not reflect how good he was. And what I was saying with earlier is how would that be a good business model anywhere? Is it, let's say, you you're in sales in any format. You sell cars, you sell TVs or whatever. And you sell freaking timeshares. Now,
I hate those people.
Your company isn't doing so great as far as, like maybe profit margin or whatever. Are you going to let go of your best employee because they want a raise? No, they're your best employee. They're the ones that are...
They're the ones holding you together.
Maybe you're not where you want to be, but that's what you build around. You build around that guy. You know what you're supposed to do? You get rid of all the rest of the motherfuckers. you get rid of all the other deadweight that's playing defense for Oakland.
Yeah.
Not the best fucking player that there was.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So when people say that crap like... oh, well, our defense wasn't good with him, so what? Like, no, it's not because of him. It's because of everybody else. Yeah. So you think you get rid of the best player, keep the garbage, and the team is going to be better for it? No. Get rid of the garbage, and you build around that player.
Yeah.
When the Lakers didn't make it to the playoffs with, or they're barely making it to the playoffs with Kobe Bryant, when they, like, smushed Parker and all those dudes, was the argument like, oh, well, they should just trade Kobe because they're not winning championships with Kobe. No, you get rid of all the garbage around Kobe and you build around Kobe. Yes. And that's exactly what the Lakers did. They got rid of the garbage. They brought in Pau Gasol. They brought in Lamar Odom. Bam, championship. That's what you do. You build around your star players in any sport, in any company, no matter what you're doing. You could have the worst, surgery department in the world. But if you got the best surgeon in the world, do you get rid of the best surgeon? No, you don't. You get rid of all the shitty surgeons and you start hiring better surgeons.
And then you pay the best surgeon what he's worth. Because I'm going to tell you one thing. If you had your pick, like just carte blanche, your pick of somebody to do surgery on you, like open heart surgery, are you going to pick the shittiest one or are you going to pick the best one? Like legit, are you going to pick the best one?
I want the best.
I want the best. I want to fucking live, man. I ain't going to no fucking doctor in Mexico because I can't afford it. No, I want the best, and I'll worry about money later.
Now, what a lot of fans or people's response to what I just said would be, oh, well, we're going to have to pay him $23 million. You can't pay two people that much money. Talking about between Carr and Matt. And it's like, who the fuck says you can't? Where's it written that says that you can't? So let me get this straight. Derek Carr, we pay him all that money. Is he a top 10 quarterback right now? No. Is he? He's probably like middle of the pack. You'd say he's somewhere between maybe 15 to 20 or something like that. That's
about
maybe
right.
where you'd rank him at.
Yeah.
And most of that has to do with his performance like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Last year, we
Last
would put him
really
a lot
good.
lower. So anyways, what I'm saying is, you're saying so you can pay him that much money, but you can't pay Mac that much money. So you're saying you can't pay Derek Carr and Khalil Mack all this money because it takes too much out of the salary cap. And when Khalil Mack walks, now people are saying, well, now we got money so we can sign a couple players. Like, okay, hold on. So we can't have two $20 million players, but it's acceptable to have a $20 million player and two $10 million players? Even if those $10 million players are shitty, or if they're
past their
average,
prime,
yeah, they're so that's acceptable. Oh, okay, you can't spend $40 million of your cap between two players. Oh, but you could do it with three players. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
like no, not if those players aren't any good. Like there are teams all over the place that are spending money everywhere. The Rams are trying to get Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
look at how much money they give Brandon Cooks. How much money did they give Aaron Donald recently? And they were trying to trade for Khalil Mack.
On top of that, not only that, but getting Ndamukong Suh, who is worth money, getting Marcus Peters, who's worth money, and getting Aqib Talib, who's worth money. So if the Rams can spend all this money, then guess what? The Raiders can spend all that money too because they only spent money on Derek Carr.
So by that logic
that
people were saying, the Packers can never sign a player on a contract that's for $10 million a year ever. They can't. Based off of that logic, the Packers can never sign another player that wants more than $10 million a year. Period. Because Aaron Rodgers is making like 30, right?
Yeah.
So don't give me that crap that you can't sign two players have $20 million a year contracts, because you can. Now what that does, it does take up a big chunk of the cap between two players. But what you have to do is you have to draft well. The Raiders haven't really been doing that too well. They've hit on some of their mid-round or late-round picks. Some of the early ones have been flops. But that's what you do. You build around that. See, this is another thing that drives me crazy. I'm about to go off on another little tangent here, but everyone gives Reggie McKenzie praise because he came from the Packers system. What do the Packers do? They re-sign their own guys. They always re-sign their own guys. They don't dip in hard on free agency. They'll sign supplemental players here and there, and they build through the draft. We had a freaking dominant player in Khalil Mack. What would the Packers have done? They would have resigned him. As a matter of fact, the Packers were trying to trade for Khalil Mack. Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers is getting paid more than Derek Carr. Yeah. So how are you going to say you can't have two players making over $20 million? The Packers were going to have more money committed to two players than the Raiders would have with that. Yeah. So, they could have did it. They could have did it.
Let me tell you something. If you want to get something, you go out and you get it. It doesn't matter how much money you're spending or whatever the case may be. You're going to find ways to find that money. And you're going to find ways to get that money. You might cut like 10 people. But if you cut 10 people, if you cut 10 people worth $1 million a year, how much money did you save? 10 million. 10. Raider fans, 10. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Remember, that's 10. So guess what? You just paid. Somebody got paid. Somebody got paid somewhere. And let me tell you something. If it's Khalil Mack, because he's proven himself over the past few years, and he proved himself in week 1, why he's worth that money. Gruden didn't prove shit yet.
Nope. So it's okay for Gruden to get $100 million guaranteed.
How much he getting paid?
Yeah.
Yep. And he didn't do shit. He didn't do shit but show that he's gonna lose. That's it. No offense to your team.
The way I see it, where I'm optimistic about like 5 or 6 wins, maybe.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That if that. If Raiders get 5-6 wins, man, I'll throw a party at your house. Your house, not my house. I'll throw you a barbecue. I'll even buy you a birthday cake. Yeah. Birthday cake and have a midget pop out of it. Bridget the midget. She's gonna pop out. She's gonna do a dance and everything. She's gonna do all that shit.
So let me hammer on another point.
When we said this is a rant, man.
There's another layer to the pure incompetence of this regime right now.
You want to turn the light on?
So yeah, I'll hit this. Okay. A little better. Like what light?
Man, that wasn't shit.
about as bright as the Raiders' future right now. Another one?
Nah, I think we're good right there.
So yeah, so the incompetence going on right now in the front office. Am I a general manager? No. But that doesn't mean that you can't acknowledge when there's incompetence, when there's a profession that is outside of your primary, scope of practice.
Well, it's like
if a doctor chops off the wrong leg,
I'm not going to question the doctor and say, "Hey, man, you did a good job."
Yeah, it's incompetence.
Oh, yeah.
That's
like if I saw a helicopter in a tree, just because I don't have a fucking helicopter's license doesn't mean I haven't seen something that's wrong.
Yeah,
it's wrong. It shouldn't be there. I know it shouldn't be there.
So this easy, pure, incompetence to acknowledge right here with the trade.
Technology.
So the level of incompetence involved with this trade is astounding to me, and is pretty much a fireable offense. So
yeah.
So okay, you traded Khalil Mack. That's just a fraction of what I'm going to get into right now. So they knew when all this started. Everybody had been talking about it. He wants a new contract. That's no big surprise. We also know he's probably going to be paid as the highest, defensive player in the league or one of the top, and everybody knew it was going to be right around $20 million or so. So you already knew. Everybody already knew. He wasn't going to come to you and say, "Hey, I want a new extension and I want $15 million a year." That would have been a fucking surprise.
Yeah.
But he's going to want top dollar, and he deserves it. He's one of the best, so he's going to want to be paid as such. So they knew this going back to last year. This is the final year of his rookie contract. So it shouldn't have come to some surprise that he was going to want that $20 million. So if they were never going to reach that point, if they were never going to meet him at 23, which I guess is what he wanted, then they knew that all along.
Yeah.
So why not trade him at the draft in April? If you trade him at the draft in April, at least you know exactly where you're picking. You can get an early pick, and the second year, you get another first round or whatever. You figure out that point later. But at least you know exactly where you're picking. You get a player that can help you now.
Right now.
Guess what? 2019 first round pick. What do they do for Monday night for the Raiders? Nothing. Extra cap space. What do they do for the Raiders? Nothing. How about 2020 first round pick? What did they do? Nothing. None of that helps you right now at all. Period. None of it does. Mm-mm. So what they're basically doing is you're giving the Bears a free year of Khalil Mack before they have to pay up for anything.
Yep. Which
is crazy. Like if you did this trade at the draft and said, "Oh, the Bears, yeah, you don't have to pay me until 2019, 2020," is like, that's crazy. Like Reggie McKenzie might not even be there to use those damn draft picks. He might be fired at the end of the year, and he traded a player that he didn't even get to use the picks for. Mm-hmm. Now I'm sure Gruden had I'm sure he had a big huge influence on that. But my point is, you knew what your limit was for paying him, and if you're gonna do it, you should have did it at the draft. So you could have got something that would have helped you now, and at the same time, also would have made the team that you traded him to that much weaker. Mm-hmm. But now, the Bears had their first round pick in Roquan Smith, and they got Khalil Mack. So the odds of having a better record are much higher versus having that extra first round pick is playing for them now. Mm-hmm. Versus if you did it at the draft. The difference is maybe 1 or 2 wins. Who knows? That's huge in the NFL draft. That could mean instead of picking in, number 8, you're picking at number 14. The levels of players start dropping in the draft.
Yeah, as soon as you get there.
So that's one part of the incompetence right there. If you're going to do it, you should have known from the get-go, this is my limit. If he wants more than that, I'm not budging. So I'll have to trade him at the draft and get something that can help me out now. That's one level of incompetence. Part 2 of the level of incompetence with this trade is that, okay, yeah, you don't know where you're going to be picking at all. So you're trading for an unknown quantity at all. Mm-hmm. So that's another level of danger right there. You have no idea who's going to be there. You have no idea how the Bears are going to do.
Mm-hmm.
They could be picking in the 20s, and now you got like a solid linebacker maybe like
a wild card spot,
which isn't worth the trade at all at that point. But where the incompetence lies with this is, so Khalil Mack, he's under contract, correct? This is last year. Like I've said this a shitload of times already. He's under the last year of his rookie deal. He is still under contract. He is holding out. And they're like, oh, well, he didn't show up to this or that. Guess what? All these players always eventually end up reporting. They end up reporting back to their team sooner or later. And you know why? Because they have to.
Yeah.
Even regardless of money, they want to get paid. It's not even just that. They have to play, what is it? They have to report by, week 11 or something?
Mm-hmm.
They have to report for at least 5 games or be eligible, barring injury, of course, in order to accrue a year towards free agency. So if Khalil Mack held out the whole entire year, he would still be on that rookie deal.
Yep.
He's not going to sit out forever. He would have reported eventually.
It was like what happened to Vincent Jackson.
So, yeah,
Same thing.
this happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've seen players hold out. You know, they might miss a game or two. I think Emmitt Smith held out for 2 games before when he was with the Cowboys trying to get paid. But rarely do they sit out the whole entire year. Incredibly rare. I was actually looking for it. I found one instant of a legit player where they held out the whole year. I think his name was John Hanna. He was like a guard for the Patriots. He's a Pro Bowler. He actually missed the whole year because that agent had convinced all his players to hold out for more money and to sit out. So that was one level of extreme. Another one was a rookie who was drafted by the Cardinals with number 6 overall pick. He held out the whole entire year.
What year was that?
Was it 88, I believe it was. Let's see. I snapped it on my phone here. Actually, John Riggins sat out for a whole year. But then he came back after they were saying, quote, "I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back." And he was named the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Those things end up happening. And those are extreme cases.
But yeah, rarely do they ever sit out the whole entire year. Especially at the money they're making now, these players. So anyways, he was going to report back to the team at some point or another.
Right.
Now you could say, oh, but we'd only have him for like the last 5 games, so what's the point? Okay, I'd take him for 5 games over nothing anyways, because guess what? At that point when he returns, we're past the trade deadline.
Yep.
But what you can do is after the season's over, you can franchise tag him. You franchise tag him. And what is the starting price for any team that signs someone's franchise player? They get 2 first-round picks. If the Raiders would franchise Khalil Mack, and let's say the Buccaneers signed Khalil Mack to an offer sheet that the Raiders didn't match, then the Bucs would have to send the Raiders 2 first-round picks. That is a league rule. Now, the 2 teams can negotiate a lesser price of the picks. Like the Raiders say, the Bucs say, "Hey, we want to sign them, but we're not going to sign them. We have to give up 2 1s, but we'll give up a 1 and a 3." Which the Raiders say, "All right, that'll work for us," because not every franchise player is truly a franchise player. You know? Sometimes
they just tag them for the price. They just tag them for the value.
We've seen punters get franchise tagged. There have been other players who were like above average get franchised because the team couldn't work out a long-term deal with them and they wanted to secure them at least for that year and work it out later. But Khalil Mack is one of the legit, he's a legit franchise player.
Linebackers, yeah.
So the Raiders could have franchise tagged him and then traded them then if they couldn't have worked out a deal. And like I said, and gotten 2 first-round picks automatically. Oh, and guess what year those picks would have happened? 2019 and 2020. The same fucking years that we're getting picks from the trade that we just did. Mm-hmm. So why couldn't you have waited? The Raiders had all the power and could have just waited this thing out with Khalil Mack to the point where he showed up, because you're not getting anything that can help you right now anyways.
Yeah.
So you could have had him for at least maybe a chunk of the season, maybe report sooner than that.
Yeah.
You know,
something to help you guys out in the year currently. On top of, even if the Bucks didn't want to give the second first rounder, and they wanted to give a third rounder, like maybe even borderline second rounder, at least you would have got those 2 picks in that year instead of having to wait subsequent years. So not only did you just save cap space, but you also bought, quote unquote, or you traded for 2 picks that you would have you're getting anyways. On top of the fact that now you have a better record, you have a better standing with your team, and you have a better standing with the fans.
And there's always a chance that you resign Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
you work on some deal. It gives you another year to work on another deal till you have to trade him.
Maybe profits boost because Khalil Mack is there. I know for a fact. I know for a fact that the Bears are fucking singing gloriously right now.
Oh yeah,
because they've just restored faith in Chicago, and Chicago is loving. I'm telling you right now, God, I've seen it all over Twitter, and I've seen it all over Instagram. Everybody fucking loves Khalil Mack in Chicago. He is like the unsung hero. Like, they've forgotten about the offense. They don't give a fuck about the offense. They don't give a fuck about Michael Trubisky. They don't give a fuck about any of that shit. Khalil Mack is their fucking hero right now. That's their fucking dude.
Another layer of the incompetence. So with the franchise tag that I mentioned, it's 2 first-round picks, correct?
Right.
Someone signed someone's franchise player, it's 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
Automatic. So we've already established the Raiders franchise tag him. They can trade him for 2 first-round picks next year. Now, when the Raiders did the trade with the Bears, yes, they did get 2 first-round picks, and they got a 3 and a 6. But they gave up a 2 and a 5. So a 2 and a 5 for a 3 and a 6. Yeah. Which means they're moving back in both of those rounds. So would you rather have 2 first-rounders, or would you rather have 2 first-rounders, a 3 and a 6, but you give up a 2 and a 5? You'd say, no, I'd rather just have the 2 first-round picks.
2 first-rounders.
Because in the other scenario, I have to move back around in the 2nd and the 5th. I have to swap it for a 3 and a 6.
Yeah.
So no, I'd rather just have the 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
That's not what the Raiders did. If they have franchise tagged him, they could have traded him to a team and got 2 first-round picks and not had to worry about giving up. Raiders gave up a Khalil and a 2nd-round pick. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
they gave up a lot just to get rid of him, and it shows that the Raiders didn't want him. I just don't understand. It's not just the incompetence and the idiocracy that happens within the franchise of the Oakland Raiders, but also within the fans themselves, that they just don't want to see it. It's like I've always used this analogy, and it's like one of the most insensitive analogies that I've ever said, but it ends up being one of the most true. It's just like when you see an abuse.